Hey family, it's Mama Bear Prepping. So we're going to talk about my indoor garden, and I'm going to show you the beginning stages of what I did. I have this back room that's basically my Mama Bear catch-all. It's, you know, a medical room where it has a bunch of cabinets, and that's where I keep all my medical preparedness items. It's also where all my holistic medicinal type things are, my tinctures, my salves, all of that stuff, my workspace for doing those. It's also my workspace for making candles. It's also a catch-all for all types of things when it's not necessarily things that have a place in the home or need to go to the garage, or I need to do something with it first before it goes somewhere. So there's a lot of like food preservation items in there. You know, totes that aren't full yet that have some Mylar food in it, that type of thing, right? So it's this catch-all room. And at first I didn't know where I was going to even do the garden at, right? At one point I was going to have it in the guest room. And then I was like, wow, if I have somebody over, how can I like tend to it? And I'm all in their space. And so I ended up saying, I'm going to dedicate a corner of this catch-all Mama Bear space for my indoor garden. And I'm going to show you that so that you can see that. And walk you through just the basics. You know, indoor garden is totally different than outdoor garden. You know, you can't just bring in your outdoor garden and bring your plants in and just say, hey, I have a garden. You know, you have to think about how you're going to grow stuff. Are you going to grow it from transplants? Are you going to direct sow stuff? For me, this is my year of experimental gardening. That's both outdoor and indoor. And so I direct sowed everything so far. Moving forward, I am a little discouraged in the fact that stuff is spindly and stuff is new, and some stuff is doing very well from direct sow, but some stuff is not. And I can tell already, I don't know that it's going to be that strong to be grow up. And so maybe I should have started with like seedlings, seedling cups, let it grow a little bit and then transplant it. Not sure. But some stuff is doing well, and I'm still very, very excited for several items that I'm growing. For me and for you too is figuring out your space. You need the right lights. You need separate dirt. It has to be new dirt, potting soil mix. You know, what else? You know, where's the space and how can you utilize it? For me, I always talk about going vertical with gardens if you don't have that much space. So for me, I got a shelving unit that was to be put on the ground, was meant to be a shelf that you put on the ground that you put plants on. Well, all I did was get the shelf, hubby built it up, and then I put it on top of an old entertainment center so that it was at height level, right? And so I have that. So I'm going to show you that corner, but that's working well. You know, I was concerned that maybe some plants want to get enough light because I'm going vertical, but I have another light that I think is helping to offset that to ensure that everything gets enough light, because the room by itself is pretty dark. Has a window in case I lose power. You know, I can open that up. And then of course I have lower level lights that I would probably use in a grid down situation, because my current lights do pull a lot of power. Okay. So even for having, you know, I have a dedicated now, solar generator for that. It takes quite a bit of power, right? That only is going to run it for like 5 hours. And they're going to need more light than that. So, have been working through how that would work for grid down and adjusting to different lights, basically just bare minimum lights that take way less power, but that would give something to the plants so they're not totally in the dark. Okay. Let's see. So basically I'm going to show you that, you know, I've done microgreens. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the microgreens so I can show you, because what's happened with me recently with us having family and having a lot of caregiving that at a level that we weren't expecting. We ended up not purchasing the greenhouse in time. You know, I had to put a lot of stuff in the garage. And you know, this room, there was a lot of stuff that set us back in preparing for stuff. And one of those things was I had started microgreens. Then this happened, I pulled my back, and I wasn't able to pull the microgreens in the time frame to be able to eat them. If you've grown them before, they don't take that long, right? They only take like 7 to, you know, 10 days, 14 days, right? So they were ready to pop when I was completely down. And so they ended up, and I'll show you a picture, they ended up busting, but I'm probably going to do a dedicated video for that. So without further ado, let me show you my first showing of my indoor garden. If you have comments, want to give tips, hacks for indoor garden, if you feel like you have kind of like nailed that, please help me. This is all direct sow. This is also all these seeds that I used are from Survival Garden seeds, and so I will link that. If you use my code, you do get discounts from all their seeds, but this is from the vault. These are seeds from the vault, the Homesteader package, all of that, okay? I don't think I used one seed in the indoor garden from another seed company. Now, I have other seed companies that I do love, but for the sake so far with my indoor garden and direct sowing, I used all Survival Garden seeds, okay? So, and I love them. I absolutely love these seeds. So, let's get into it. All right, family, so here it is. So this is my medical room. I'm saving a bunch of boxes for Christmas, you guys. Just ignore that corner. Typically, there was a bed in this room because this is our medical room. I keep all my meds in these drawers. You know, I have this space is also for my holistic tinctures. I got a few tinctures and fire cider brewing. This is where I make my candles. So as you can see, it's a tight space. Have more, you know, stuff over here. For the most part, this corner is what I have decided was going to be my indoor garden. So this is just the beginning. I'll back up so you guys can see my lights. I have a long light up there, full spectrum lighting, okay, and those two are doing great. As you can see, I decided to go vertical, so I have a shelf. I was worried about some of this stuff, like down here, for example, not getting light, but because I have the light off to the side up there, right, it shines down as well. So I have, this is what I basically have in here. I have some house plants that I brought in that I'm trying to revive that were not doing well in other places, right? So I have this one. I've got a house plant there. I've got a house plant here. And then I have one there that's completely done. And I'm going to try to bring her back. And then additionally, everything else you see here is all from seed. So there's another house plant that I'm trying to save, this one, and then I just brought in that plant as well. But everything else is from seed, okay? And I ended up using Survival Garden seeds. So here's some of their seeds here. These are actually the seeds that I'm gonna take out to plant by the chicken coop, but it's way too cold to plant right now. But basically I have a little bit of everything. I have a lot of enhancers and a lot of herbs. So I have some peppers there. I have some herbs, some basil back there. I've got some oregano, some parsley, some lemon balm. If you go up, I've got some sage. I've got some thyme, right? Up here, so what I ended up doing with my moringa trees is, you see I have one that's popped. I have one that has not popped. And then I planted two direct sow outside to see how those do. And so we'll see. That's a great medicinal tree to have on your property. And so I'm starting it a few different ways. You can see down here, I've got some Swiss chard that's pretty spindly. I've got some tomatoes that are just starting their third and fourth leaves. I've got some beets back there. They're not doing too well. You see, they're pretty spindly. So probably what I'll end up doing is moving those, okay? I've got some more peppers, habanero. I've got some cilantro up there. We use a lot of cilantro in our cooking, so that was a must. If I go and back up, I'm trying not to move too fast, you guys. I have some carrots up here, so we'll see how those do. You can see I don't have very big pots for stuff, so we're just kind of seeing how it goes, and then we'll transplant into bigger pots if it's needed. Like obviously the Swiss chard is going to be off the chain, right? So that will end up being transplanted. Let's see. This was some purple bamboo, and it's starting to kind of mold a little bit, kind of wet. What I did do to help hopefully with the mold a little bit is down here I got some mulch, and I actually went with a mulch that I haven't used yet, and that is a rubber mulch. So we're gonna just see how that does. I don't know if that will be better, but indoors, the hardest thing is, you know, keeping your gnats down, bugs down, that type of thing. So this is just workspace. I have some more peppers over here, jalapenos, and then of course the houseplant. Now, if you see these, I'm gonna be doing a video on microgreens. So I had an epic fail on the microgreens. I'm gonna do a separate video on that. Got started off great, but then if you've been following me, I pulled my back, was down for the count for at least a week, and they totally, you know, they overgrew and molded, and they weren't being taken care of. I didn't have water. It just was horrible. This time what I want to do is I'm going to do dirt this time, because I ended up doing pads for those ones, and so these are like a good depth, and they have the dome already, which is why I picked them. And then you see they have these little pods that you can like for seedlings, but I'm not going to use those. I'm going to take those out, and I'm just using the pot itself and the dome, and they'll be easier to cover. So I'm going to be doing, so you can see my epic fail for microgreens, and then you can see my round 2 of microgreens. Some stuff that I've learned with this garden so far is I'm not sure if direct sow is going to work, because stuff gets spindly, right? And then it's a lot of transplanting. 2, you know, you do have different dirt. You didn't bring any dirt from the outside. Still have a small gnat problem, but my home remedy right here is working pretty well. I should have showed you the last one. I just changed it out, but that's basically some warm water, a cup of warm water, and then a tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and then a couple squirts of dish soap. And I just mix it up, and I just put it in the room. They go in there, they get caught, and it works pretty good. I have those in several rooms in the house, especially where the fruit is, and now where I have these plants concentrated at. And then you see I have a few that have these like birds, and so the idea is to have some of it with auto watering, right? So those are stakes. You fill the bird ideally with water, and then they'll self-water. And for those, this kind particularly, I won't link it just because it's about 50-50. It's a hit or miss. 2 of them keep watering like crazy, and in this sense, I know it's over watering because it's filling the bottom thing like super full right away, and so like it's draining too fast. And 2 of them work like a gem. So we'll see. I'm gonna definitely bring you guys along to see how this works out. There's still several things I want to add. So I like having herbs. I like having medicinal herbs. So I'm going to be bringing a lot of specific medicinal herbs. I'm going to be bringing mint in here. I'm going to be bringing chamomile in here. I want to have ginger going, turmeric going, and just some enhancers. So possibly bringing some garlic and starting some garlic in here. And it's just a garden to kind of offset. Now, some of you might be thinking, why does she not have any lettuces, like quick growing foods like lettuces? Well, the idea is the microgreens, to have those, and then maybe get a tower, aquaponic tower of some sort for lettuce, different lettuces. So we'll see how that goes. This corner, there's a bed typically, so it can't go there. But I either do a tower here on top of this cabinet. The problem is right now that's my workspace for candles. That's my workspace for my holistic salves, tinctures, all that stuff. So it could go there, or it could go over here in this corner. I have this shelf that right now I'm just using as a dark place for microgreens and medical and other stuff. But ideally all this stuff could be moved, and I could have a tower there. I actually thought about doing a tower, not a tower, but a big trash can for potatoes over here, and was gonna get some lights for up here for the potatoes separately. And I still might do that, because if I can get potatoes going in here, that would be super ideal for me for indoor garden, because it becomes, how are you feeding your family or offsetting the food that you are providing for your family, right? And so we'll see. I'll show you guys the rest of the room. So right here is a bunch of boxes that I'm saving for Christmas. and some food that I'm preserving little by little, some more buckets I have to fill. But ideally this is the twin bed, but my mother-in-law is using it right now. And there's a window here. And then there's a whole dresser that has a bunch of stuff. It's got some water. Ideally, the thought process too is having water identified just for this room. Thought process later is how do you power it? You know, I have a power unit back here, but with these lights, it's a lot. And so to run these lights, it's only wanting to run them 5 or 6 hours. So the thought process becomes, how do I give my plants some light? And so maybe that becomes, hey, it's grid down, you use a different type of light and power it with the power generator. And how do you make sure you're growing things that will feed your family? Obviously, this indoor garden is not going to feed us by itself. Absolutely not. But my idea is to have medicinal things going. In this room, I don't know if you can see it too, I have this bar that goes all the way across the room because at one point this was a walk-in closet area. And so on that bar, I'm going to be taking the herbs that I grow outdoors and then drying them on that bar and hanging them from that bar. So this room ideally will have hanging herbs as well. So super excited to just have this as kind of a holistic everything that I do as far as candles and the holistic and the garden aspect of it. You know, it's hardcore because this room was getting a lot of love all at once. And then pretty much, you know, I pulled my back, you know, doing a lot of caregiving right now. And so I've neglected. So my job right now is just trying to keep the things alive that are going in here. And then if I get to a point where I must transplant that so I don't lose stuff. And then hopefully once family leaves, and I have a little bit more time, I'll be able to add to this because there's so much more that I want to do. There's probably going to be some shelving over here that we'll have. Sorry, I'm trying not to move too fast. Shelving over here where this picture is that I can have some plants, and some shelving here. And there's a ton of space still on the shelf that I haven't utilized. So super excited. Just give me your thoughts in the comments below. Things that have worked and not worked for you in your indoor gardens. And don't be, I basically, you know, this is a humble beginning, and I don't want you to feel like you have to do everything all at once. Just do it little by little. Every day do something else, right? Or once a week, add another plant, okay? You don't have to do it all at once because it's just like the garden outdoors. It takes time. You have to come in here. You have to remember to turn the lights on or turn them off, watering, all that good stuff. So you guys be well, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.